Ojamajo Doremi is Halloween's best anime because it knows the scariest things of all: homework. Hello and welcome to the Nen Show podcast. The Nono Show podcast. So I fucked up already. I am your host, Craftsword. This is my co-host, Mathwiz. We're talking magical girls. Hello, Mathwiz.
I'm gonna cast a spell and we're gonna go back and redo that intro.
Homework sucks. Throw it in the trash. Anyway, following up with our Hug to Precure discussion, we're talking about Ojamajo Doremi, which has, I guess it's not completely unrelated because it was Toei's magical girl outing they did before Precure, before Futare wa Precure, and after Sailor Moon. So, it kind of bridges that gap. And I might talk about it later, but it did have a lot, a few things I noticed, similar to Precure, especially Heartcatch Precure. But yeah, I guess, why did you pick Ojamajo? Did you just feel like, you felt like starting it, I guess, or go on.
So, the reason why I started it was because, I did, a patron backlog thing where I wanted to watch some sort of magical girl show, so it was going to be either this, or, Cardcaptor Sakura, or Sailor Moon, and it was Doremi that won.
Gotcha.
Because, Doremi is definitely the one that the most people I've seen on, Twitter, or I don't know, just general people I'm in contact with or in sharing the same circles with. They're like, oh, you gotta watch this. It's a classic. It's this, that, and everything else.
Yes. Okay, and I started it because I saw Mathis start it, and I'm like, but Nono show. So I just I remember at the time I was like, damn it, now I gotta download Ojamajo Doremi, and then I watched the first episode and I was like, no, this is not a damn it moment. This is good. So, because I'm assuming, or at least the ones I see talk about it a lot are Caribou-kun, Shabes, and Mr. Cynical, Rika Fag. Both of them really like the show. I'm pretty sure they've argued on Twitter about a specific order to watch some of the last episodes in, and in fact they might be in the comments arguing about it right now. So, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Right now we're only about a quarter of the way through. I believe the show is roughly 200 episodes. We've watched season 1, which was 50 episodes, or 51, I forget.
51.
51, okay. And it was good. So in case you have not listened to the Nono Show before, how we structure the discussion is we start off with a non-spoilery discussion, focused on our general thoughts and whether we recommend the show or not. And then we just dip into spoilers where we're free to talk about the show and all of the show. At least this show, because that's the thing, we've only seen the first 51 episodes, so we don't have the context.
Stay tuned. Next time, Ojamajo Doremi Sharp.
Yes, exactly.
Whenever.
Definitely next year. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to watch it in 2 months, so that would be great. I mean, actually, it's not impossible if we do one episode a day, but we'll see, because we started this one. I checked, and we started this one in June. So it took us 4 months for this one. So by that speed, and I think we both sped it up, frequently, or not frequently. What am I saying? We sped up our watching by a lot when the end was in sight. I was even pointing out that you seemed to be watching more, and then I just, let's record this day, and you're like, okay, and we finished. So, so yeah, I guess overall thoughts on Doremi.
So compared to, because I think really the only other core magical girl show, that is definitely what the show is solely the main focus. My only other real comparison is Hug to Precure, which we've covered before. And I did not think that this first season it didn't grab me as much as that one, but I can definitely see obviously we're only a fourth of the way through the story, so I can definitely see more room for especially because of how this season ended. It seemed like they just threw together a string of back to back to back really strong episodes. And it's okay,
you're
gonna
the last core, honestly, I had some of my favorite episodes, and so it's if they can continue this, if the whole season was like that, it could easily be an 8, it could easily be a 9. I'd love to see what the show does, because I have seen some promotional material. I know there's going to be more characters added to the cast, and such, but the posters on my MS basically is about it. I've not seen the openings, but yeah, it's looking forward to it. I've seen a little bit more magical girl stuff, not a whole lot more. I've seen Cardcaptor Sakura, and a couple other seasons of Precure. Because that was one thing that kind of like caught my notice was how I feel like if any, because obviously Toei it's the same studio, so they have some of the same staff. So I imagine some of the staff who worked on Doremi are probably still at the studio, or at least even if people at the studio would know of Doremi because it was pretty popular in Japan. Like it was popular enough that 4Kids dubbed it and tried to sell it in the States. Like they don't do that with obscure things; they do that with notable things, Though we already had our laugh about the names on the Chapter Black Yu Yu Hakusho Nensho.
I mean, you did at least clarify that, like, the dubbed names at least kind of form Doremi, but it's like...
because Dori, Rian, and Mirabelle, so Doremi, and I was like, I thought about it later, and I'm like, okay, there's a purpose to it,
but what did they call the fairies? Are they still Dororere and
Mimi? Yeah, I would assume, but I didn't watch it, or I don't even know how much of this show they dubbed. Oh yeah, that was a thing I wanted to mention because Rika Feg was telling me about how this show got, apparently on 4chan someone added fake subtitles to some of the scenes from the show, making it out as though the show tackled darker subjects than it did, not majorly, but to get people to watch the show, and it was but then they ended up liking it because it's a good show. So I thought that was interesting, and I was gonna make a joke about how next time we're watching Ojamajo Doremi Sharp, that's when they get edgy. Okay, no, I had yeah. But to talk about the Heartcatch Precure for a moment, because I did see that one first, and I did think it was interesting how that show did some similar things compared to Doremi. Like, one of the things that is neat about Doremi is, from the first episode, every single classmate has a unique design, and the season basically spends, one episode at a time, fleshing them out, and, here's this character's deal. And Heartcatch Precure, I don't think, has the whole class design from the beginning, but it does add a lot of them to, over the course of the show. Like by the end of the show, it's they become recurring background characters after being introduced and getting involved in the conflict of the episode. The outfits, they both have well, in Heartcatch Precure, it's more like a pedal motif, but something about the skirts I thought was similar. So it's interesting that they used a similar design element, but also kept, because obviously in Ojamajo Doremi it's more of a music theme. But in Precure, they use the same pedal-ish kind of skirt design for the flower motif, and then also the design. So one thing Ojamajo does really well is the fucking expressions.
Yes. No, I have so many screen caps that are just expressions because every frame is gold.
It's so good. Well, because the character designs are simple, but they're very, very easy to deform, and they get these lots of stupid, dumb, and unique faces too. Doremi has her boo no boo, her pouty one that comes up, but even then it's a little different each time, and that's about it. But one of my favorite ones is the one you tweeted about with the squad when they were all mad and in the background, and they're so cute and angry.
Yeah, it's good.
They're gonna fight you, but also they're 8 years old. So, and yeah, Heartcatch Precure, I feel, is notable among Precure series because it's, if you look at the designs next to every other one, they're much more not much more, but they're definitely more stylized, which again allows for the same they're easier to deform. They make goofy expressions. So it's that was just another I maybe I'd have to look at the staff, but I am kind of curious as to what staff worked on, if there was maybe shared staff between the two, because it's just because the only other major thing that I can think of is the Mouth Goblins, which Doremi, to my knowledge, is the oldest show that does this, where the characters will shout and have, or they'll have their mouth open wide, and there'll be a smaller version of themselves in their mouth, making a slightly different expression. The show I think of doing that the best though is Hugto Precure. Yeah, because there was some damn good mouth goblins in that show.
Always remember to feed your inner mouth goblin.
I heard the term, I forget, I think it was on 4chan, but anyway, God, it's a good show. Both all the Precure seasons I've seen it. I mean, Star Twinkle's okay, and Mahou Sakai dropped in 4 episodes or 2 episodes, so maybe not that one. But so I guess it like if you liked Heartcatch Precure, consider watching Ojamajo Doremi. And if you like Ojamajo Doremi and have been curious about Precure, consider watching Heartcatch Precure. Like again, they're like the biggest difference I'd say between the two is that like Ojamajo Doremi is very much like slice of life focused, where like it's just kind of like they do school stuff or maybe they do witch stuff, which is pretty non-consequential generally speaking. And where Precure is very much an action series, where you have these cute girls kicking fucking ass, and it's great. So based on your interests, if we're getting like random shonen fans watching this, then Heartcatch Precure would probably be a good start. Compared to Ojamajo Doremi, but I like slice of life, so I liked Ojamajo Doremi.
I think my only sort of like, I feel like Doremi probably gets better after this season. Like, not that this was a bad season, because I did enjoy it, but I definitely think that like there's more that could be done with the characters that like maybe they didn't do in anticipation of having more material. I'm not quite sure exactly like how production of this would have worked.
We'll talk about the end of the show in spoilers, because it like ends in a way that I guess can be taken as final, but also there are things that are not wrapped up. So it's like I don't know when, because apparently I think it was on the fan on Wikia page for Doremi. It mentioned that like, oh, the show was originally supposed to end after one season or after a year, but it was popular, so they decided to continue it. And like, that I can see that being true, but the question is like, when in the production did they realize that it was getting a continuation? And when, because
because it's not the same as like the Precure formula now, where it's like, okay, we know we've got 50 or so many episodes, we've got a whole year to work with this and tell this story. So for like this and like the original Precure and the earlier Magical Girl stuff, it's kind of just like how far do we have to go? And I don't this wasn't like, because Sailor Moon was adapted from a manga, right? Or was it the other way around?
It was a manga. No, the manga started in 91. Like, because we were talking about that during the Yu Yu Hakusho, remember? Because the Viz put in a reference, so I was like, when did it start relative to... But let's look at when the anime started. Anime started in 92, so the manga was definitely first.
Okay, whereas, like, Doremi is original, so it's not like it's basing off of anything. So yeah, I do kind of wonder, like, at what point did they, determine that they were going to be making more? And I don't know. It's interesting because, again, to draw the Precure comparison, I mean, like, Futari wa Precure would have had a similar thing where it's like it got multiple seasons, so it's uncertain as to like when was that decided. Whereas like nowadays, you kind of know going in, this is how much time we have to tell a story, and so that's almost where I feel like. I mean, like, every episodic series like this will have some episodes that are kind of just like, okay, not great. And then they'll have episodes that are, like, really, really good.
Yes.
And I feel like with Doremi, after this, like, this first season had good setup to build on more with, like, character arcs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely think with, like, there were certain areas where I was wanting a little more.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get you. And like I said, we'll talk more about everything in spoilers, but one thing I want to highlight about the show is the production. Like, it was very consistent visually, and there were like mostly the reused animation. Like, what kind of got me in the first episodes were like the way they animate the fingers, like tapping the transformation device. I'm like, damn, that's some good animation, just stuff like that. And some episodes, like the Christmas episode, I felt like had a bit more higher production than normal. Like, I felt like, hey, that looks a bit more well animated than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's like the show never looks bad, and I think again, it's because I think it uses the simplistic style very well, like the way it deforms characters. It like it's not like but it uses it in an expressive way to get and it's fun. And yeah, of course, yeah, it reuses animation and stuff like that's just like par for the course, and it's stuck in my head. It will probably forever be stuck in my head. Like I'm like hearing the magical words they're saying and the sound bites, and the opening theme was playing at my in my head at work like all day after I finished the show.
The opening is so catchy. The opening is it's iconic. It's good.
It is very good. I'm almost sad to lose it in Sharp, even though I'm also like, okay, I could pass on hearing this again for a little while because I keep hearing it in my head. It is a catchy OP, you're right. We gotta talk about the characters though, a little bit, not in spoiler ways, because they are a bunch of good. Look, if you watch the One Piece Nen show, you know I like characters if they are good and if they are dumb. And these characters are all literal children, so therefore that's like the epitome of good and dumb.
I mean, they're all Ojamajos. They're all
yes.
bad at what they do, but
yeah,
they have the heart. They're
yeah.
I lost
so
where I was going with that.
Talk about your favorite for a bit.
Okay, so yeah, my favorite is probably Aiko, because she's like the more like. Well, she's from, like, Osaka or whatever, which I guess is, like, she's got, like, the dialect, is that the word?
Yes.
So she's less, like, sophisticated, I guess, and she's, like, more athletic and kind of sporty.
Yes.
But also she's got, like, just her general conflicts to not spoil things.
Ooh, yeah, no, her episodes, because that was,
good.
like, yeah, that was one thing, because I felt like Hazuki didn't really have like an overarching conflict like Aiko or even Doremi did, because Doremi's thing, I would honestly call it a bit relatable in one aspect, because I have it like where she's just like always kind of behind everyone else. Like the others become witches later, like which is not much later, but like she's still the one who fails the exams the most often. So like, you know, she's the Ojamajoist. The Oja is macho.
The OG Ojamajo.
Right. So like I remember once I had a thing. My dad took me rock climbing like once or twice, and you know we did it. I was like, hey, this is a thing for just us. And then my dad brought my younger brother and his friend, and like we were climbing the same rock wall that I'd been climbing. Literally, just we went to a mountain, and you know, with full-on harnesses and stuff, and he climbed like about 3 or 4 times higher than I ever did on his first try, and so very much a Doremi pop kind of situation, and we haven't done it since. This was literally like 10 years ago. So yeah, relatable. Cause though see, it's really hard for me to choose a favorite character, because like yeah, Aiko is great. Her episodes are definitely the best. Hazuki is adorable. She had some good episodes, even if they weren't so much about her character, but just, you know, she's there. And Amage, like the one, you know, the one, Doremi, again, like, she's a dumb idiot and she's precious. I also really like Pop because, like,
yes,
I wanted to make a joke of it, or go on, you say.
Well, because, like, for me, it's sort of interesting because I've also been I was also going through K-On! Not, you know, like around about the same time that I was going through Doremi. And so I would kind of like contrast her with Ui,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like Ui is the younger sister, but she's like perfect and she's good at everything and she's very like kind and sweet. Whereas Pop is, you know, just a younger child, so she's a brat.
Right.
Even though she's also better at things than Doremi. So she's got more of like an ego. She's not pure and sweet like Ui. She is she's Pop. She's
Yes. Well, how I wanted to put it is that, like, this poor girl has been dealing with Doremi her entire life. Like, so of course she's so angry and jaded at everything at, like, 5 years old. Because she's had to deal with this shit. No, Doremi's a very good girl, so she's just stupid. Which is what makes her good. Oh, man.
Yeah, like there was the one episode where like it was one of those Doremi falls in love episodes, and she's like, "Well, maybe next the Earth will be consumed by fire." Like it's so unbelievable, and it's just such a line.
And I also like Onpu. She only shows up later, but she was like, I liked her from the first episode. I was like, yeah, I want to see more of this character, even though she's a little shit. But no, it goes good places.
Yeah, I still have to figure out where Onpu is in my character rankings, because at first I was like, well, she seems like a character that'll get better later, and then at the end of the season, she gets really good, and I'm like, wait, hold on.
No, see, I definitely like it's really hard for me to rank even those five right now. Like because it depends. Like again, if it's based on episodes, then I'd give it to Aiko for sure. But like the others are also good in their own ways, and I guess that's another mark of praise is they're all really really distinct. Like not just in like just design and color, of course, because I did think it's funny that this main they have the Precure colors like the main, or because like Hugto Precure had yellow, blue, or I guess we're dipping into spoiler territory, so never mind. Ooh, but I guess one of the reasons why I have the show as a 7 and not higher, it's pretty close to an 8, honestly. Like it's a great show, but like because I did mention like I did think I like that the whole class, they all have names, even though I can't name most of them. And a lot of them have focus episodes. I will say some of those focus episodes were also, generally among like the weaker episodes. The one exception to that, I would say, because she showed up. She was like present from the beginning, where a lot of these side characters like maybe had like a line or two before they were relevant. It was Reika. I liked Reika.
Tamaki Reika, she was like the recurring, not antagonist, but she's just like the rival character.
Yeah, she was definitely a bit antagonistic because she's a fucking shit. But then I did like her, but for being great at what she's doing. But then she got an episode focused later, and that really, well, I think I like that because it gave context in a way that it better explains why she is the way she is, and I really like that. And so. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight her because she's probably my favorite character after the main. Well, see, Majo Riko's good. I don't know. And again, like, who knows how the show will expand on its characters? Because, like, Caribou-kun has a video in the works that's literally over an hour long. Like on all the characters of the show. So, like. We can't watch it until for another like year, until we watch another 150 episodes of the show and do like 3 more podcasts. But yeah, I'm very, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the rest of the show. It was good. Like I said, strong 7. If you like slice of life or cute shit, I would recommend giving it a look. Again, and this is a show that has resonated with certain people a lot, and I can see maybe the buildings to that. I couldn't explain why though, quite yet, because again, I haven't gotten to that point. What about you? I guess final thoughts on the show overall before we go into spoilers?
I think the only other thing I might kind of give as like a heads up is like if you're looking for like the subtitles, the Doremi subgroup is like the biggest one. There are some points where, and I don't know why they didn't go back and change this, but there are some points where they dropped the R word in there. And when that happened, like, it only happened twice that I remember. But both times it was like, why is this here? Why is that the word you chose?
Children! Like, they're not gonna swear like that. When I was 8, I thought I apologized for saying stupid. Like, I'm sorry, that stupid is a bad word. I don't know, I was a dumb kid also, so. Yeah. Oh, and I was gonna mention, I guess it's another sort of, like, content warning. There's a character introduced later called Oyajide, he's a pervert kind of thing, and I'm like, this show does not need this at all. Please, no.
No, yeah, especially because, again, my only real experience with like the magical girl sort of genre was Hugto Precure, which didn't really have a pervert character. So I guess that kind of set my expectations like, oh, okay, I probably won't have to worry about seeing a pervert character in a magical. Oh nope, I was wrong. Okay.
No,
so that was more. That was also like a degree to which why. I mean, I already have something of a low tolerance for pervert characters, and I've been told he gets better later. So I'm not gonna be like. But again, like. I wasn't expecting it, so that also made me like even more like, why is this here?
Oh, that was funny because you tweeted about him and you're like, yeah, I don't like this character, and literally I start the next episode and I see him, and because they do like a preview of what the episode's gonna be to tease before the opening of every episode, and then he shows up and I'm like, oh no, I was just warned about this guy, and now I have to deal with him. And so yeah, regarding me, I'm completely neutral to perfect characters. I basically just don't care for it much at all. Like, I like characters who happen to be perverts, like Sanji, but like, you know, the pervert aspect of him I generally don't care for. And he was mostly that, so he's just like.
I mean, it's not like he does anything harmful, but still, it does feel like when he shows up, he makes the show. I am actively enjoying the show less when he's on screen.
It's It's not nothing he does is particularly funny. Like, that's one thing I could say about Sanji is some of this stuff is so over the top that it's at least a little amusing. It's not, you know, it, and like I said, I don't think the show, I guess he needed to have some kind of like trait to, but like
I definitely
would have rather had something else
because certain characters, you know, like a lot of the characters, not necessarily even antagonists, like Doremi has her faults and like Majorika has her sort of vices, and so that's like his. So like I get it from that point, but you know, we'll see where things go.
Hopefully he becomes an actually good character. That would be the magical miracle, wouldn't it? Check out the show. We're going into spoilers where we could talk about everything, so you have been thoroughly warned. I mean, you might think, there's not a lot of spoilers. I mean, I guess there were no like major surprises or anything. Like, you know, and it's a kid, you know, it's a show made for kids, so some of the aspects I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna happen, and it does. You know, it's fine, but it's like, just in case you didn't want to be spoiled. So to finish my thought earlier is, they have the common Precure colors because Pop is red, Onpu is purple, like, and in not every Precure show, obviously, but like that seems to be the most standard team of 5. So,
Doremi is the dumbass pink. Like that's the trope.
And actually, it's actually funny because the Super Sentai episode, she was so adamant about being the Pink Ranger because it's also very like that team makeup, like swap out purple for black or green, and you have the standard Super Sentai colors. So I just that was silly. Well, I also like that episode or that aspect of because like you had Doremi being shy about liking boyish things, where I feel like I'm a bit like as a guy who loves cute shit. You know, like I feel like I see the reverse more, even though I can't name any examples where it's a guy who likes girly shit and is afraid of, you know, or so I don't know.
Yeah, because some people will kind of like make judgments based on that for, you know, or they'll think that there's like something else there. So this is kind of the inverse where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I get where you're coming from. It's interesting.
Yep. So I guess let's really talk about Aiko now. Now that we're in spoilers.
So I mean, yeah, her sort of the conflict for her character arc is interesting, and for me, like I found that to be the most relatable. Because you know I was raised by a single mother after. Well, I mean, like I was in contact with my father for like the
more
first few years, and then
so
it's I kind of had the inverse where like it was like me and a single mother, whereas for her it's her and a single father. But so like there are degrees to which I was able to relate to
interesting
some of the I guess her general conflict.
That's because it was because like what I took from it kind of is like because with Doremi most of her conflict is like also in with the magic and also just her being stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like I thought about they bring it up in the Kishimoto Togashi, one of the interviews they did where they talk about how like even if
they talk about Ojamajo Doremi, of course.
Yes, exactly. They talk about like how even in like a fantasy or sci-fi setting, the conflicts have to be like relatable. Because like they can't have problems that only exist in their world, you know. And so I feel like Aiko's get hit. It probably hits the closest because it is a very real thing. You know, young kids having to deal with their parents not getting along. You know, and it's it is a very light show. Because that's parental conflicts come up a lot. Yeah. The episode recently was the Reiko one where you had the other girl who she was fighting with her dad who's very like hands-on, very that's what I liked about it because like Reika's kind of a snot like the whole episode because she's very privileged and she's different from the other kids, and then we find out why because she was like, oh yeah, I got professionals training me with how to swim and play tennis. And Onpu goes, maybe your dad doesn't love you because Onpu has no fucking chill. Like, I was like, damn. And I just really liked how that conflict of the episode shook out. And Reika, like when they were in the house without power, and the ghosts were because of the stupid witches made it seem like the house was haunted. But she ran out and protected the other girl. And like, Reika's a good girl. She's just also an idiot and kind of it's mean. But anyway, that was my I just liked how how it like that this is episode 43, by the way, where we finally get context like into why she's this way, like Hazuki's also pretty well off, but like she spent more time with her dad, who's a fucking director, like so Reika was different, but it was his dad was like, because a lot of parents don't want to see their children hurt even if they accidentally happen to hurt them. Like that was another thing that recurred, so to speak. But I don't know. It was a good episode. What else can we talk? Or I guess pick out episodes of the show and talk about them.
I think since you mentioned Hazuki, I know I definitely felt like she was of like the main five, like Pop, Doremi, Aiko, Onpu, and then her. I definitely felt like she was the weakest for me this season. I definitely get that. Like, because for me, I just think she's cute. So like the glasses are adorable, and like I like how when they do the dumb faces, they just you can't see her eyes. And I did like the kidnapping episode, because that episode was fucking wild. Yes, yeah, because
and she's outsmarting her captors, but also being stupid in her own way.
She's like helping them kidnap her. Like, oh, you made some typos in your ransom note. Let me fix these.
Oh, she's so good. So yeah, but I would her character didn't really have a conflict where like Doremi is clumsy and stupid. Aiko has her family shit. Onpu's a little brat who didn't know any better, and then she becomes better, and that was really good to see. Pop isn't quite a main character. Like she becomes a witch, but like she isn't. She's not around as much. She has her own focus episodes. But
her conflict is that she can't wake up to take her damn exams.
That was a good running gag, because and I liked how it became like she's like, once she snuck down to try and make coffee, and Mom was like, no, and then another time she snuck down to make coffee, she made coffee with her magic, but it was too bitter, and she wanted to make it sweet, but she didn't have any magic for it, so she had to sneak down to get milk, and it didn't work. Poor Pop. Oh well. We'll never reach level 9.
Nope.
Very sad.
But to go back to Hazuki, there was sort of a line towards the end of the show, like when they were talking about like, oh, why did they want to be witches, and like what. So Hazuki was like, she wanted to be able to like not rely on other people or like her family and like do things herself, which I think. It is kind of indicative of, I think, where her character could go and some of the things that she had going on. Like, there was the one episode where there was the one girl who was, like, trying to do something, and she was trying to help her, and it wasn't working, and then the girl got, like, hurt, or, no, it was something with, like, the rabbit, the girl who was afraid of, like, having pets or whatever, and then the rabbit got hurt or whatever, and so Hazuki, like, used her magic to kind of, like, which I read as kind of, like, a pretty obvious parallel to like self-harm, which I'm not sure what exactly that would mean, because especially her being a character who wants to kind of take care of herself and not rely on others too much.
Didn't she specifically say that she wants to change, she wants to be someone different, or was that another character who said that?
Well, I thought Hazuki, they all said that they wanted to change in some certain way.
That's true. Well, because that's another thing I noticed watching the show, because like I know you haven't watched Madoka because it does things differently. Here's a show that points out how it doesn't, because one of the big, like, a very common trope I've been seeing is like characters who are magical girls because they want to be different, or they want to change themselves, and magical girls are little characters who transform. I talk about this in my series of rants on Madoka, because Madoka, and also I guess Hana maybe a bit, and also a Tsubomi from Heartcatch Precure, where like they're definitely like, Monica is probably the saddest, like, most depressed one, is in, like, there's literally a shot from the movie, and there's even another scene in the show where she actually has cuts on her arm, so, like, or scars, rather, or both, but yeah, so it's, like, you do get these sad magical girls who want to be different, like, that's a recurring thing I've been noticing, so, Hazuki maybe more so, again, depends on what happens going forward, and I guess that's like sort of fit. Like that was, I guess, another theme I know. Because Ojamajo, it's definitely about them like failing and but learning from those and going forward anyway. Like that, like because they're Doremi's clumsy. She's a constant fuck up, but she still made it to level 1. She became an actual witch. Like she was able because she didn't give up. Like they were even said like, oh yeah, the level 3 exam. Oh, this one's hard. Lots of witches give up at this point. And Doremi, I think, yeah, she did fail, but then she became a level 2 witch by by doing the next test anyway, and she kept going. And so yeah, that's and Monica also deals with failure. Like Monica just does the things other girls do, but it's just really well. That's it. It's not a deconstruction. Sorry.
Ojamajo Doremi is the real deconstruction of the magical.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I thought it was a very sort of... I mean, obviously, it's like a kid-friendlier way to maybe... And maybe that wasn't even the intent. Maybe that wasn't what they were going for. But it was definitely an interpretation I had. Because you know me, I have to read into things, and I have to see, like, oh, here's an interesting interpretation that might not have even been intentional.
Yeah, because, like, I hadn't connected that to... Because, yeah, Hazuki acted on her own. She tried to do this all herself, because she doesn't want to rely on others. And in doing so, she was hurt, by taking the pain of the rabbit onto herself. I hadn't thought about that in regards to... And
especially because, like, it was an old friend of hers or whatever who, like, she knew had this issue with animals, but, like, hadn't had it before. And so she was trying to, like, fix her, but in doing so ended up hurting her more. So I don't know. Like, that's kind of where... That's where my line of logic was coming from. To have that.
Yeah, it might have been nice to have that context before watching the show so I could, like, think about it in that context. Damn, I already need to rewatch Doremi, and I just finished it. No, that's not gonna happen for a while. Also, I have a note, where it's like, I guess Doremi was making, because they make the little, like, clay objects and stuff, and I guess Doremi made a pineapple, and I wrote in my notes, like, because there's a running gag where no one's able to tell what she's able to make because she's so bad at it. And I just said, in my notes I say, don't worry, Doremi, I knew it was a pineapple. Yeah. I understand you. I don't know why I wrote that, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I remember, now that you bring that up, I do remember that episode and being like, no, that's why they're just being mean at this point. That's so clearly.
Because there were some things I definitely didn't understand what they were supposed to be, but the pineapple I got.
One of the things I have screen capped here is like, Doremi, do you know what recession means? And she's like, it means that people don't have enough dough for their cakes, right?
I mean, she's not wrong.
Which I guess is also interesting, just considering like the time period that this would have aired, because this was like late 90s. I forget when. I don't remember Japanese politics. I don't remember when the whole like economic thing happened. But also, like, there was the episode, it was the New Year's episode, and it was, like, the year 2000, and that was the point when I was like, oh, God, this really is, like, I don't know, it hadn't dawned on me, like, that's when it aired, and then I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, no, let's talk about Onpu, because she had a really good arc.
Yes! So, like, when she first shows up, see, what I really like about her character, is that, like, she is a little shit. Like, but she's not, like, intentionally so. Like, she's just ignorant of other people. Yeah,
she's just very negligent or ignorant. She doesn't think about much other than herself, generally
So, like, the one comment she has where she's like, maybe your father doesn't love you or whatever. It's like, damn, why would you say that? But she's just
like, oh, well, not my business. Yeah, she didn't think about it. She just says the things she thinks about and doesn't care about what other people say or think or feel, even though it really fucked up Reika. And then, of course, like, in the fucking first episode, I think she only says it the once, where she says, like, she's doing the audition for the acting role against Reika, and Doremi, like, the humor in the show is good, like, Doremi competing with, because she's, like, genuine, and that which was interesting.
Yeah.
But, when Onpu wins with her fucking magic, because she's a cheating bitch who thinks she can get away with things without consequences, at least at first. And she's like, I really am the world's luckiest pretty girl. I'm like, you little shit. I love you. That's when I messaged you with that image, and I just said, I like her.
Yeah, she's the rival character. She's the anti-Doremi. There's also the one part, it was the episode where she uses her magic and, like, gets a boy to fall in love with Doremi by complete accident. Because she just, like, wanted to get rid of him. And so...
yeah.
Or, like, he had seen her in her witch outfit or whatever, and so, like, that was her way of, like, getting him off her back. But then there's the line afterwards, like, towards the end of the episode, where she's like, well, if I hadn't used magic, you probably wouldn't have gotten a boyfriend anyway. And it's just like, damn! Damn!
Yeah, no. And, of course, there was also the, fucking, what was it? I had it in my head, and now I forgot it. There's another moment.
But yeah, anytime Onpu's on screen, it's just like, when will you learn that your actions have consequences?
I forgot what I was gonna say, but and she does, and it's a good arc because I liked how there's no like big moment where they're like, Onpu, you were wrong and you need to change. Where she just sort of does it naturally by interacting with the other Ojamajos. You know, she just sort of like, you know, like
she doesn't get talk no jutsu. This is good character writing.
Doremi's better than Naruto. You heard it here first. So anyway, well, the part that really got to me was in the Christmas episode when, you know, Pop really wanted to see Santa, and she couldn't because she's sleeping, and also Santa can't really interact with him, and he's not allowed to anyway. But, like, she had no reason to give up her present, but she does.
Yes!
You know? And I was like... Santa was probably already convinced at that point, but Onpu gave up her present for Pop's sake anyway. Like, she doesn't even know this little girl. Though it was also funny because Hazuki gave up Majorika's present without Majorika's consent.
Yeah.
That made me laugh. It got to me because the actual scene with Santa got to, because like they just wanted to thank Santa for working hard and they're good kids. Yes. Oh, I wanted to mention, because I mentioned that joke with Hazuki. The episode after that where they did the talent show was legitimately one of the funniest things I've seen in a while, when they were showing off like this mundane, boring shit, and the witches were like, what? Like, the part that got me was when the queen was like baffled herself, like she's trying to stretch out her finger like Doremi did. Because the queen's such a serious character, you know, she shows up when shit gets real. She's always, you know, elegant, and she's got a calm voice, generally speaking, but then here she is like, but how did Hazuki turn her head 360 degrees?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. That was the fucking hardest laugh I had of the whole show. It was so good. And of course, it ties into the ultimate lesson they learned where it's like, oh, the real magic is inside you. It's your own power. You know, you don't need magic. Because that's the thing. It's like what's it called? The magical stage? Like, it doesn't solve the problem. It, like, leads them to a way to solve the problem, and they have to go from there. Kind of. Like, the magic in itself is usually, and of course Onpu she breaks that rule. She's trying to use magic as a solution to her problems, and you know, Majoruka gives her the charm to bypass the consequences of that until it no longer can, and like she doesn't even like she is trying to bypass the consequences of being discovered, where they all would have turned into witch frogs. But, like, you know, for that, they all had to give up their magic in the last episode. Of course, like, see, and that's the thing where I'm really curious about the production, because it's like, that was probably planned from the beginning, and it makes sense with the arc of the show. But there is a continuation. It's still called Ojamajo Doremi, not just Doremi. So the promotional material has them in their witch apprentice outfits, like... So, and I actually checked, and yeah, the Sharp literally started a week after the original aired. So it's like, you see this episode, the end, they give up their magical powers, sad, cry, cry. Then next week, oh, watch Ojamajo Doremi Sharp, and they're getting their powers back. So I don't know how, but it's like, yeah, that happened. So that's where I'm curious about the production. So, because, like, that's the thing. It's like, Aiko's arc, I feel like there could be more to it. Hazuki, she had moments, but not quite an arc, so to speak. They definitely had their lesson to learn at the end of the show. The big thing that was honestly the bad items, because there was one left. There's one fucking left.
Yeah.
And they didn't find it. So, that never, and they don't even mention it. Like, Oyajide doesn't show up in the last couple episodes at all. So I guess that old man's gonna be a weird goblin thing forever and stuck in a laptop, which is good. Throw the laptop at a bottom of a well. I don't know. I hope he becomes a good character later, but now he's just annoying. And I definitely hope, I would love to see, because Midori, the wife in, oh my god, girly Aiko. I just it's great when a tomboy looks girly because they don't do it all the time, so that makes it special. Hazuki looks like a girl all the time, and it's cute, but it's just Hazuki. But Aiko, when she had the pigtails and the skirt, I'm like, oh my god, she's adorable.
It's funny, I didn't have quite the opposite reaction, but I was like, this is wrong. It's cute, but this is wrong.
And that was a fun episode. I just like the interactions, and Midori just taking everything and being totally cool with all the, because Aiko was trying to chase her off with honesty, and we're not perfect, but then Midori was like, wow, that's great, and I'm like, marry this woman. But that didn't happen, so maybe she'll show up again, because that would be a good way for Aiko's arc to continue, where she has to move on, have the courage to start a new family, have a new mother, not that her old one's gone, she could have both in a sense, even if there'll be different relationships. I don't know, maybe that's my perspective coming from my parents are still together. So what's your thought? Because I just started talking. I'm like, well, maybe there's another way this could go.
Well, yeah, I know, when I was a kid, before I kind of just lost contact with my father's side of the family entirely for, I don't quite know why. But I used to, on weekends I would go visit him, or every other weekend or whatever. So I would kind of go back and forth, which, I'm not quite sure how, what they're gonna do with Aiko. I don't know if it's going to be, oh, happy miracle ending where, the parents get back together, because there's clearly, some sort of, unresolved thing there. Or is it gonna be, they stay separated, but she's able to keep in contact with both, or, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. They could go in a couple of different directions.
Yeah, that's true, because I was, I was thinking about that one, because I do like Midori. She was good. But, there are a few ways to go. And the show's definitely leans toward the very idealistic, the parents, even when they do wrong, they never mean wrong, obviously the world is not so perfect, where every parent is actually a good person. But I don't know. Yeah, no. Aiko's definitely the one I'm most curious about going forward. I'd love to see the others get more, especially Hazuki get more. I don't know. I do not mind. I like these characters, and seeing them for another 150 episodes sounds like a plus to me. So that's very good, because 150 episodes is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm looking through.
I do also think, going back to Onpu's arc, I did think it was, the poetic justice. Actually, even before that, the episode where Aiko's father was meeting the woman for the arranged marriage thing, and Onpu just shows up out of nowhere and is like, you could cast magic to change her thoughts and make her hate your father, and it's like, oh no, don't do this. I almost thought, is that the setup for what's going to be the season-ending thing? But it wasn't. But it was an interesting little moment. I was like, this is the worst turn of events.
Yeah.
But then, of course,
so you reminded me,
Onpu, the consequences finally catch up to her when she's using her powers for something good. So she had been using the illegal magic or whatever for nefarious purposes first, and she was always creating problems and not really understanding that. But then, of course, at the very end, the last two times she uses it, one is to cure the girl's nerves, and that destroys her charm, and it causes her to lose her audition, but she did a good deed. But unfortunately, it was one of those the karma will catch up with you, and eventually, although it was kind of the way the conflict at the end ended, it's almost well, you could probably blame the witches. Like, they're the ones who had the exam out in broad daylight where they could be seen and they're exposing their own secrets. Like, that's a little careless, but...
I also did like how, like, all the students thought that, oh my god, Doremi and all the they all got kidnapped, and every single one of them went to go help.
Yeah,
good children. Not good.
I also like how it went from like, oh, we saw them on brooms to, oh no, they've been kidnapped. Like, somehow the story got twisted, and even the people who like knew, like, Tamaki had seen Hazuki on a broom or whatever, and even she had like ended up buying into like, oh, they're kidnapped, we gotta go. It's like, what?
Well, that actually has a name. It's called a telephone game, where my dad actually had it in military training because he was in the Navy, where like a bunch of like one officer doing the training and a bunch of recruits sat in a room.
Oh, is that where you like pass the message down and you try to see if it will stay intact by the end of the table or whatever?
Right, and that's exactly what happened. Is the message was, oh my god, they're flying on brooms, and we see the telephone go to, they were kidnapped in the Mahodo by a witch, like, So that's exactly what happened. And what I was gonna say is I like how like the series was handled episodically, because but you have like, there's magical apprentice episodes, there's episodes that introduce us, classmates, there's bad item episodes, there's Onpu episodes, there's Aiko episodes, like. And a lot of these threads get, handled like by the end of the show. I'm pretty sure maybe not every student has had a like full episode, but most of them. Like I'd have to like go back through.
Yeah, once we were getting towards the end, I was like, has this character been here all along? Like, I almost was wondering if like, are they just pulling people out of thin air and adding them to the class? But I might have just not been paying attention.
You could if you're in doubt, check the opening, because they have like the shot where they throw up all the homework and you see the whole class, and then you have the two panning shots where you see the girls and the guys separated, hanging out on the playground. But I'm pretty sure everyone was there. But some of them have very simple designs, so I'm like, or rather not simple, but like not stand out, so to speak. Like some of them definitely stand out more. But anyway, I like how the show was handled episodically, where it has, it had all the plots, and they did mostly like come together in the end, and they bounced off each other, like you said, with the Onpu Aiko bit, where that's Onpu's subplot coming into, bumping into Aiko's subplot. And, and it all, like I said, I think it was a pretty decent ending, but obviously, like, the next episode that we watch is going to be like, let's give them their magic back, even though...
you shit, could say that all the characters were there from the beginning. Damn. They got me. Yeah. They're all in the opening.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was, like, I'm not, I don't want to just jump the gun and say that goes against the message of the show. But I am I'm very curious to see how the rest of the show goes. Apparently it punches you in the feels. Like I said, Rika and Caribou-kun were arguing about which way to watch it to better punch you in the feels. So, and they'll probably be giving, or maybe they weren't arguing. I don't remember. Maybe they're arguing about something else. But like, we'll probably follow an order of one of their suggestions, or both of their suggestions, when we watch the final. Like, I was heard when we get to season 3. So I think if Sharp were fine. But when we hit season 3, I'll probably reach out, or maybe if they're not in the comments right now, which I wouldn't mind, just to have a place to like record it.
I guess that's an interesting thing about episodic stories, is like you don't necessarily have to watch them chronologically. It's not like a Haruhi Suzumiya thing where there's like, oh, which is the watch order, and or like Monogatari where it's like achronological, but it's like you can do all these different. But like for an episodic thing, there might be like plot lines that kind of run through seasons, but that might not be... Like, I know with this season of Doremi, it was kind of not until more towards the end. I mean, like, I guess you had Hazuki's thing, but you could almost, like, just watch all the Hazuki... Or, not Hazuki, Aiko. And you could, like, watch all those episodes back to back, and it's like, there's the conflict.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, Onpu's arc, I guess, was kind of, like, stretched out throughout the little episodic episodes as well.
When did she get introduced? I think she got introduced in like episode 30 something?
Something like that.
Yes, it was 35 when she got introduced. So it's like she was there for a good 15, 16 episodes. So, good last chunk of the show. But yeah, that's the thing. And it was also like, she had her own focus episodes, but it was also minor moments in other episodes. So, but yeah, I don't think I have much to say. It was a good show, likable characters, big dumb idiots. That's why they're likable. Cute, funny sometimes. Yeah, I enjoyed the show. Very much looking forward to more.
I think and this is again like a really tiny nitpick that doesn't matter much, but I feel like as far as like the transformation sequences and stuff, like they get reused, and that's just a magical girl show thing. But sometimes I would feel like between like having to do the transformation into the outfits and then using their batons or their whatever their
just for general magic or the magical stage. There's definitely times where I'm like, well, they did find a way to shorten it later, like because like it was only like halfway through the show did they actually like have the shared transformation sequence. It was obviously not designed as well, I guess that's the case for Precure too, but like it felt that maybe I wonder if they're like gonna change things up next season, because like I have seen a clip from like later in the show, and like Doremi does have a slightly different design. Like she looks different clothes, and there's just little different subtleties to her design. Like she still looks like Doremi, but it's obviously like a slightly different character design. Mm-hmm. So like, and that means slight change. Like they're gonna have to redo the transformation sequences for this new design. So they're not gonna be able to reuse this footage forever. So I'm wondering if like we'll kind of get what we're getting with Yu Yu Hakusho, where we're gonna see the studio grow into the show, basically, like. Because it is very, like, Sailor Moon, it's more of an action thing with episodic villains and stuff, I assume. The characters are bigger, taller, like, older, more detailed, just in their general designs. So, like, Doremi seems a bit different compared to, and I don't know what else Toei was doing Magical Girl-wise before or during or whatever. I just know, all I know, that's the only time I know, Sailor Moon, Doremi, then Precure, to today. And Doremi is pretty, different from those two, because in a few ways. So it makes sense that they have to figure out how to do the show first. Like, and they did a pretty good job. Like, but if it like gets better, it's because the staff is understanding how to do things, maybe as like what they learned from the first season, and having more context and building off of that context. So there's because I don't know, people say, oh, it doesn't get better, but like, there's reasons to enjoy a show more as it goes on at the same time, like when you have more context as to what's going on and why it's happening, or just, like I said, the show, like, artists, like One Piece I think it gets better. The art gets better. The storytelling gets better. Like, I like it from the beginning, but it gets better, and so I'm looking forward to see Ojamajo Doremi get better, even though it's already good. So yeah, I'm done, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I know I definitely am kind of part of the group that would say, like, if a show, like, if it starts with a good first episode, it's probably going to stay good. But like, things can still get better. But like, normally, I don't find shows where like,
it's
the first episode is bad, but everything else is good or whatever, or the other way around.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like, you're no one is ever obligated to spend their time on the show. I feel, and like, with some exceptions, like if you're going to talk about it in any kind of like professional or critical capacity, it just benefits anything you could say by having more context in mind. Because it'll either solve ignorance or like give you more points to go off of. Like, there's literally nothing wrong except for the time it takes. But if you're being fucking paid for it, like if you're just a YouTuber, like, I feel you should have that sort of like sort of intellectual honesty, I suppose. Like I watched one episode of Ojamajo Doremi. It's bad. I don't understand why people like it. Blah blah blah. Like, that's not a good video. Anyway, I got heated there for a second. I have emotions and feeling. Anyway, yeah, I think we're about done. Good show, fun show. Cute girls, dumb girls. I've already said the same thing like 3 times now.
In conclusion, watch Ojamajo Doremi, you son of a bitch.
Yep. So yeah, next time we will be covering Doremi Sharp And then after that, I have no idea because I haven't looked up the titles and I don't know how long they are or what order we're going to be watching. I think it's most the same order. It's just like a couple episodes out of order. Like, oh, watch the, like, I think it's like, there's like a set of OVAs and the second to last one was recommended as the last one we watch for the whole show. So I don't know.
Yeah, and the movies. Are we gonna watch the movies?
We'll get to that. Maybe. We'll see. It depends on when they aired, because like with Precure, they usually have like one movie early on into the series, and then a second movie like around the 30 episode mark, and they usually do like in A la Mode, they had a movie where a character from France showed up, and then the movie takes place in France. So you watch that first episode, and then you watch the movie. Hug to Precure had the big old crossover 2-parter, and then it has the movie that's a big old crossover thing. So it's like you watch the crossover, and then you watch the crossover, you know? So they usually have a lead in, so I'm wondering if Ojamajo Doremi will as well. But anyway, yeah, thank you for listening to us Oja YouTubers.
Boo.
Fucking shade thrown at the self. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.